Welcome back to Live Reactions, and I am John Camp. In this video, I'm going to talk about a young lady named Tess Holiday. And this lady is a plus size model, and she believes that she has anorexia, meaning that she's anorexic, but she's a plus size model. So I'm going to play the video so you guys can see what we're talking about, and I'll chime in here and there, and I would like to know your opinions afterwards. Alright, let's get to the video.
Gorgeous, Tess, thank you.
Model Tess Holiday, known for her bright red hair and body positivity. She's amassed over 2 million followers on Instagram and major brand partnerships. But below the surface, Tess says she's been suffering with an eating disorder.
I wasn't taking care of myself in the way I needed. I wasn't looking after my mental health in the ways that I should have. I was always making sure that everyone else's cup was full and I wasn't filling my own. So I think that's how I went so long without really being able to address, myself and my disordered eating.
The 35-year-old mother of two says her decades-long disordered eating caught up to her in the last year.
So she calls it a disorder of, I guess, not eating, is what she's claiming, that she, doesn't really eat that much. But a disorder would be more of, in her case, is that she's eating a little bit more than what you will assume. But let's continue on.
I would go all day without eating, and I would chalk it up to, I'm busy, I'm this. But the thing is, I had hunger pain all day, and I was sick all day. Oh, I'm busy, I'm a mom, I'm this, I'm working, I'll eat later, but later never happened. And then
I'm sorry. You're looking at this woman and you thinking that she's skipping time to eat? I really don't believe this is real, to be honest. I'm looking at a woman that's a plus size. She's large, meaning that if you're large, that means you eating more than what you should be eating. If I'm wrong, let me know. All right.
at nighttime, usually when my kids were in bed and I could settle, I would eat one meal and then I would go to bed.
Holiday sought help and now says she has a form of anorexia, a revelation that has received some support, as well as anger and skepticism.
I am plus size, but advocating for diversity in larger bodies. And so I think for people hearing.
But my problem is you're plus size to advocate for larger models, but you're talking about your anorexic, making it's really confusing. I thought that people that's large and that's are comfortable in their bodies, they okay with the way they are. And it just seems like she's talking about she's anorexic, but not anorexic. So is she comfortable in her body or is she not? And how is she anorexic? There's no way you can be anorexic if you're a large sized woman. Only if you was a smaller, undersized woman is where you can be anorexic. But I mean, if you look at her here, I mean, she looks large, meaning that she eats more than normal.
Me say I'm anorexic was really jarring and hard and confusing. I've had a lot of messages from folks that are anorexic that are livid and angry because they feel like I'm lying.
What do you want to say to people who don't believe you, who are skeptical when you say you're anorexic?
To folks that don't believe me, that I'm anorexic and that this is what I'm dealing with, it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day,
If it didn't matter, why would she say anything about it? Why would she come out publicly about it if it didn't really matter? It does matter. And I think it just makes her, she's trying to make, trying to take focus off of her being big. I think I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. You cannot be a anorexic being large. You just cannot.
It's my truth. If this resonates with you, if you need help, get help. If this helps you feel less alone, great. It's so much more powerful just to say, hey, I'm hurting. And if you're hurting too, that's okay. You know, you don't
Who's
have to do
hurting?
this alone.
Tess having the willingness to speak out about her experience, acknowledging some of the backlash that she is receiving, is an indication of extraordinary bravery and an indication of, her health and healing and some of her process.
Tess confided in the counsel of Anna Sweeney, specializing in eating disorders, who says Tess has atypical anorexia.
Atypical anorexia, which would imply the same physiological characteristics of anorexia nervosa, except for body size, accounts for anywhere between 2 and 4% of the population.
Tess
Okay.
says it was her
It sounds like she's just excusing her weight. It doesn't. It just sounds like she's saying that she's got some sort of anorexia. Um. But yet, how can you have anorexia if you're big? It just is weird. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. This is not even real. This is a delusion. She is delusional to think that she has anorexia when she's nothing near anorexic. And then she found a doctor, a proclaimed doctor. I don't know if she's real or not. Maybe I'll look her up later, but and telling her that she has some sort of anorexia, but in a big size body. So her little size that's inside of her is her anorexic, but her outside is a plus size model. I'm sorry. Let me continue.
Psychologist who initially diagnosed her, a shock, even for the model.
I told the psychologist, well, I won't eat all day. I'll maybe have like coffee, or maybe I'll have, a handful of whatever's around me. And then at nighttime, I'll have my meal or snacks or whatever. So I thought that meant that I was a binge eater. And the psychologist looked at me and said, you're anorexic. And then I just started crying.
She says online hate played into her struggles.
Yeah, I am a model, right? I am successful. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been talking about, self-acceptance and loving yourself and fat acceptance for a long time. But I still deal with it. I still get people that make me feel like, and that's okay, because unfortunately it's going to take a long time to change.
I don't think it's okay to her. If she wouldn't be speaking out on this if she don't feel hurt about this, because I can tell that she's hurt. That people is probably like me saying you're lying. I don't know if it's a lie or not, but for me, logically, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going off of what logically makes sense. If you're skinny, underweight, you're an anorexic. If you're overweight, you are considered as fat. I would just say you eat a little more than what you should. But I could tell that she's heard about it, Honestly, she just ignored it and just continue on with her life. I mean, she's a plus size model making way more money than I'm probably making, so I don't see the problem.
Society's ridiculous standards.
I have had people shouting at me my
I don't think
entire
it's a standard.
career
I
that
think
all I
it's a
do is sit
fact.
around and eat, and I was starving. I was literally starving. And I didn't realize
Starving.
that meant that I was anorexic. I didn't realize that I was mindfully restricting not eating.
You're saying you weren't purposely not eating in order to be skinny.
If you're anorexic, it's a purposeful thing. I think I was almost punishing myself.
And how long do you feel like you've been purposely punishing yourself?
I've had an eating disorder since when my mom almost died when I was 10. That's when it happened. So from the age of 10 until now, I've struggled with disordered eating, with restrictive eating for the past decade.
Eating disorders certainly do not occur for one simple reason. There are a million things that can go right for a person, and one thing goes wrong, and an eating disorder comes to fruition. And so, certainly, trauma can be an initiating factor.
Eating disorders are extremely common and may affect nearly 1 in every 10 people. According to a study, about 9% of the U.S. population, almost 29 million people,
I believe in
will
the
have an
eating disorder in two ways. You either eat too much, or you eat less, or hardly at all. That's the only way I see an eating disorder. And in her case, the eating disorder is that she's eating too much, but yet she's claiming she anorexic. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Sorry, but you're not anorexic.
in their lifetime.
There's nothing but messaging that comes from the world that says the worst thing that can happen to you is you might live in a fat body. And so if everyone's efforting to be smaller, and we know that that's just not possible for most people.
You can't look at someone and tell whether or not they're healthy. You just can't. I understand that people look at me and I don't fit what we have seen presented as the diagnosis for anorexia. But then for me, that tells me that there's a larger problem, which I've been actually saying for years, is that we have a lack of diversity and representation in the world.
Now, in recovery, Tess says she's on a healthier path, which for her includes 3 meals a day and a focus on the future.
I have been happier in the last 6 months through my recovery than I've been in my entire life. I feel whole. I feel at peace. I really feel in my power for the first time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
Okay, ABC. I'm going to turn you off for a second. All right. Yeah. Okay, well, it sounds like she's trying to psych herself out to become skinny. I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. She's not anorexic. And my belief's always been, and it's always going to be, if you are anorexic, that means you are underweight. And that's what it is. If you're big, that means you're eating too much. And you may need to slow down. Not talking about, not body shaming anybody, just saying what's factual. And that's pretty much it. I feel like she's trying to say she's anorexic. I don't know why she's trying to say this, but I feel like, some people don't want to do the work to become their natural weight size. I just feel like they want to be accepted for what they are because they don't want to do the work. But with her saying she's anorexic is weird. I don't understand it. Why would she even say this? Because she cannot be anorexic unless she was underweight. So, hey, I'm going to leave it at that. You let me know what y'all think. Do you think this woman is anorexic as a plus size model? Making some money. Making some good money too. And I don't know why she complained about anything. She shouldn't even complain. But anyways. Or do you think that she's just delusional? Because I think she's delusional. I don't think she's anorexic. I just think she's delusional. She lives in this delusional world that I don't know where these people come from, but they live in a delusion. But anyway, just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like the video. Subscribe if you're new. Share if you really care. And I'm out of here. Peace.